This is the complete catalogue of every anti-aircraft gun used by Germany during World War II, from iconic flak cannons to experimental prototypes. Let's dive in. Starting with the backbone, Germany's anti-aircraft defense relied on three core weapons that defined its entire air defense doctrine. The Flak 88 stood at the center of everything. This 80mm cannon became legendary, not just for shooting down bombers, but for its unexpected effectiveness against tanks. It could reach altitudes of 10,000 meters with a firing rate that terrified Allied aircrews. Crews needed 6 men to operate it effectively, and its distinctive crack became the sound of German air defense. Over 20,000 were produced, making it the most widely deployed heavy flak gun of the war. But its weight, nearly 5 tons, meant it couldn't move quickly once emplaced. The Flak 37 refined the 88's design with improved fire control systems and a faster traverse mechanism. Introduced in 1939, it could track faster-moving aircraft more effectively than its predecessor. The gun's semi-automatic loading system pushed the rate of fire to 20 rounds per minute in skilled hands. German gunners praised its reliability, though Allied pilots learned to respect any 88 variant equally. Production continued until 1944, with units deployed from the Atlantic Wall to the Eastern Front. The 37 variant particularly excelled in the static defense of German cities during the strategic bombing campaign. Moving to lighter weapons, the 20mm Flak 38 brought rapid-fire capability to the battlefield. This compact gun could pump out 220 rounds per minute, creating walls of lead against low-flying attackers. Mounted on everything from trucks to half-tracks to submarines, the Flak 38 became ubiquitous. Its distinctive rattling sound announced its presence across every theatre. Each 4-man crew could engage targets up to 2,200 meters away, though practical effectiveness dropped sharply beyond 1,000 meters. Over 100,000 units were produced, making it one of the war's most common anti-aircraft weapons. The specialists emerged as tactical needs diversified. The Flak 41 represented Germany's attempt to counter faster Allied aircraft with increased shell velocity. This 120mm monster could hurl 26-kilogram projectiles to 14,800 meters altitude. When it worked, it was devastating. One shell could tear apart a B-17, but mechanical complexity plagued the design. Only 318 were ever built due to manufacturing difficulties and reliability issues. Crews nicknamed it the temperamental giant after experiencing frequent jamming problems. Still, when positioned around crucial industrial targets, a functioning Flak 41 could dominate the sky. For the largest threats, the 15 cm K-18 offered massive firepower in a static mounting. These 150mm guns defended major cities with shells weighing 43 kilograms. The weapon could reach 12,000 meters, though. Its slow traverse and firing rate made it vulnerable to saturation tactics. Only used in fixed installations around Berlin, Hamburg, and the Ruhr Valley, these guns represented the ultimate in heavy flak defense. Their thunderous reports could be heard for kilometers. Production remained limited, fewer than 150 units, due to resource constraints and competing priorities for heavy artillery. The 37mm Flak 43 brought automation to medium-caliber anti-aircraft fire. Gas-operated and belt-fed, this weapon could sustain 150 rounds per minute with a 2-man crew. Introduced in 1943, it filled the gap between light 20mm guns and heavy 80mm cannons. German forces mounted it on armored vehicles, creating mobile air defense platforms. The gun's relatively low weight, under 1,400 kilograms in its wheeled mounting, allowed rapid repositioning. Over 20,000 were manufactured, though chronic shortages of skilled crew limited its effectiveness in the war's final year. The 50mm Gerät 58 represented an intermediate caliber experiment that never escaped prototype status. Designed in 1944 to offer better range than 37mm guns without the weight of 88mm weapons, only 3 were built before resources dried up. This peculiar weapon fired a specialized high-velocity round designed to fragment at altitude. Test reports showed promise, but by late 1944, Germany couldn't afford to retool factories for unproven designs. The prototypes were deployed around Berlin in the final months, with no confirmed kills recorded. The Flak 36 stood as the 88's immediate predecessor, identical in most respects, but with minor manufacturing variations. Produced from 1936 onward, it served throughout the war alongside later variants. Most units in the field couldn't distinguish between 36, 37, and 18 variants without examining serial numbers. This interchangeability proved advantageous for spare parts logistics. Approximately 2,500 Flak 36 guns remained in service through 1945, many in training units or secondary defensive positions where their slightly older fire control systems posed no disadvantage. Now the oddities emerged as desperation drove innovation. The Flak-Zwilling 38 mounted two 20mm Flak 38 barrels on a single mounting, theoretically doubling firepower. In practice, the synchronized firing mechanism proved finicky, and recoil management became problematic. Only deployed in limited numbers on German warships and some static installations, the Zwilling never achieved the reliability of single-barrel mounts. Crews appreciated the concept, but cursed the maintenance requirements. This thing looked intimidating, with twin barrels tracking in perfect unison, but jam clearing under fire proved nearly impossible. The Vierling mounted four 20mm barrels in a quad configuration, creating a genuine firestorm of 880 rounds per minute. Primarily designed for static defense of critical infrastructure, these weapons appeared around oil refineries and submarine pens starting in 1943. The sight of all four barrels firing simultaneously was spectacular, though the weapon consumed ammunition at an unsustainable rate. Only 330 Vierling mounts were produced, with most positioned in northwestern Germany. Against low-level attacks, they proved devastating, but high-altitude bombers easily outranged them. The 10.5 cm Flak 38 offered another heavy option, firing 15-kilogram shells to 12,800 meters. This gun filled defensive networks where 80-meter coverage proved insufficient, but 128-meter weapons were too expensive. About 4,200 were built, serving primarily in urban defense roles. The weapon's moderate weight allowed occasional repositioning, unlike the massive 128-meter guns. Crews found it reliable, if unspectacular. A solid workhorse that lacked the 88's versatility, but performed its designated role adequately through war's end. The final machines completed the picture. The 2-T Flak Vierling 38, despite its experimental-sounding name, became standard equipment on German capital ships. 4 barrels mounted on a naval pedestal created formidable anti-aircraft defense. Over 6,000 naval mountings were installed on everything from destroyers to auxiliary vessels. The naval version incorporated sophisticated stabilization systems that land-based Vierlings lacked, allowing effective fire even in rough seas. By 1944, these weapons represented the backbone of German naval air defense. The 3.7 cm Flak M42 emerged as Germany's last significant anti-aircraft gun design, entering production in 1944. Simplified for mass production, it sacrificed refinement for manufacturing speed. Approximately 1,000 were built before war's end, with most deployed around oil facilities in Romania and Austria. The gun worked adequately, but offered nothing revolutionary, just another attempt to maintain air defense coverage as Allied bombing intensified. From the legendary 88 to this final expedient design, Germany's anti-aircraft arsenal spanned innovation, desperation, and everything between.